Welcome back to Forgotten Hollywood. There are dozens of versions of Santa Claus on film, going back decades. While he's not always at the center of the story, it's rare to have a Christmas movie without him being seen at least once, even if it's just in a picture or figurine. However, there are times when Santa takes a central role. Many times, actually. The five I will be looking at are Edmund Gwenn from the 1947 version of Miracle on 34th Street, David Huddleston from Santa Claus the Movie, Tim Allen from The Santa Claus, Richard Attenborough from the 1994 version of Miracle on 34th Street, and Ed Asner from Elf. For this list, I will rank each one on acting, writing, appearance, any negatives the movie contains, and my overall enjoyment of the film. Points will be awarded based on the rank, and in the end, a final lineup will be announced. And to be clear, I'm only looking at movies where Santa is real in the world of the story and how well he is portrayed. We are talking about a character who has appeared in stories, poems, and postcards since the 1820s, when the tales of Santa Claus, Father Christmas, and such merged into a jolly old elf. His character is firmly established, although people still like to make embellishments. It was hard to rank the acting here because these are all iconic Santas for a reason. However, first place has to go to Edmund Gwenn, as he is the only actor to date to have won an Oscar for his portrayal of Santa. And this was back when Oscars mattered. Personally, I think he earned it, and he set the standard for cinematic Santas everywhere. In second place is Tim Allen, whose Santa went through many trials and the whole range of emotions, making us laugh one minute and tugging at our heartstrings in the next. As far as modern Santas go, he may be the best. Third place goes to another icon from 1994, Richard Attenborough. This Santa balanced the cheerful spirit with the frustration of a commercialized culture, but I just found him a bit more intense at times, which kept him from the top spots. Fourth place is David Huddleston. While he was warm and jolly for a good portion of the film, he just spent a little bit too much of the movie being depressed. In fifth place is Ed Asner. I like him in a lot of roles, but I felt he was a bit miscast here as jolly old Saint Nick. He was just a bit flat, especially when compared to the other Santas on the list. For writing, I'm looking at dialogue and plot. I'm not expecting Hitchcock level twists and turns. I am rating family Christmas movies after all. But the plot has to at least make sense and the conversations be natural. Once again, the 1947 classic takes first place, which should be no surprise as that's a film that launched a franchise that spanned almost 50 years. The plot is well paced and coherent. On top of that, the dialogue sounds like normal people having conversations, and there are several particularly classic moments. Second place, again, goes to The Santa Claus, and for the record, I will not be copying the same list for every category. But with this, as with the last entry, it is a modern classic, and turning a slightly irresponsible toy executive into the personification of the holiday season is hard to beat. In third place, we have Santa Claus the Movie. For those of you who haven't seen it, it follows Santa's life from his early days as a mortal into modern day when he has to save Christmas from an evil toy executive and his dangerous Christmas presents. The origins of the red suit, reindeer, and naughty list are all given. In fourth is the 1994 Miracle on 34th Street. While not a terrible movie, the plot is weak and the ending makes very little sense, especially when compared to the original. Fifth place goes to Elf. While the story is pretty good, I think some of the comedy goes a bit far for a family film, and the dialogue is more slapstick than natural. Our next category is appearance, and in order to rank this one properly, I had to have a standard by which to measure. For that, I have the classic Coca-Cola Santa. One could make an argument that there are many other versions of Santa from all around the world, but it's generally agreed that, as far as pop culture is concerned, this image has been the standard since the 1920s and has been unchanged since at least the 1940s. With this as a baseline, Ed Asner takes first place. His costume copies the Coca-Cola look exactly, from the length of his beard to the buttons going down his jacket. In second place, we have Richard Attenborough, who fits the look, but his beard is far too short. It's natural, I'll give him that, but it's too short. In third comes Edmund Gwenn. He has a great look and a great beard, but he is missing the buttons and instead has a fur trim down his front. Tim Allen comes in fourth, his costume looking fairly classic, but with puffs in place of the buttons. In later movies, he gets closer to Edmund Gwenn's fur-trimmed coat. In fifth is David Huddleston. His costume looks good, but it doesn't share much in common with the classic image. For example, his fur trim is gray, as is his beard, and the style is reminiscent of his mortal attire. It would have been really nice if they had altered his costume over time, as the movie follows him from the 14th to the 18th to the 20th centuries. But as it is, they left it the way it started, and it's an okay costume for a stylized world. Now we come to the negatives. This is where I examine anything questionable in each film, which can range from moral issues to adult content woven into the plot. As these are all family films, there isn't a lot, but there's still some. The least objectionable, which should come as no surprise, is the 1947 Miracle on 34th Street. This was made at a time when the production code was still enforced and moral messaging was the norm. Second most wholesome is Elf. Although there are several more mature jokes and visual gags, this movie is mostly harmless. In the middle of the pack is the Miracle on 34th Street remake from 1994. Despite an attempt at a fun family film, the implications in it of inappropriate behavior on the part of Santa involving kids, as well as the intensity of the conflict between Chris and his drunken predecessor, just cast a shadow on the film and give it a much darker tone than the lighthearted original. Next is Santa Claus the movie, which also strives for a fun family film. However, not only does it show the deaths of the mortal Santa and Mrs. Claus, but it focuses on intense topics such as homelessness, bullying, corporate greed, and includes several instances of children in danger, including the image of a doll bursting into flames and a teddy bear stuffed with broken glass. The most problematic, and some may not agree with me on this, is the Santa Claus from 1994. This one also includes the on-screen death of Santa, in this case Scott Calvin's predecessor, and it also shows Santa, plural, getting arrested. The main character getting arrested for kidnapping, which he actually committed earlier in the film. This causes the elves to stage a jailbreak, and no one is held accountable for any of these literal crimes. Sorry, but those are just the facts. Our final category is overall enjoyment, which I admit is the most subjective on the list. In first place is the classic Miracle on 34th Street from 1947. It's just really hard to beat such an endearing film. In second place is the Santa Claus. I know I just pointed out how morally questionable this is, and I hold to that, but I still enjoy the movie. In third place is Santa Claus the movie. There is a reason this is considered a cult classic. It is enjoyable, if somewhat ridiculous. Fourth place goes to the Miracle on 34th Street remake. It's okay, and there are several issues I have with the overall plot. See my video on the Miracle on 34th Street franchise for more details. That leaves Elf in fifth place. I know some of you will disagree with me on this, but it's just not my style of humor. Last time I watched it, I could only get through the beginning and the climax to the end. That's it, nothing in between. So those are 5 classic Santas ranked. I added up the points, and the top Santa is Edmund Gwenn from the original Miracle on 34th Street. Again, I don't think anyone should be surprised by that. As I said, he is the only actor in the history of the Oscars to win an award for his portrayal of Santa Claus. Tim Allen comes in second Richard Attenborough third, David Huddleston fourth, and Ed Eisner in fifth. So that's my order. What's yours? Thanks for watching. Which of these classic Santas do you like best? Or is your favorite one that didn't make the list? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications, and I will catch up with you next time.